And we are live! Hello, everybody. We would like to have a warm welcome for Miss Lisa Webster. She is from Beyond Counselling, and can't even describe how I feel about you, this amazing woman, and Tiffany. Lisa has been such an incredible queen in my life, and honestly, helped guide me to this very moment. It's been 10 years that I've been working with Lisa. She's helped me through everything, literally everything. And I'm so grateful for you and to be in this moment and in your home to be interviewing you. So welcome to Raw Babes.
Yay.
Tiffany is
high
also...
High five, don't let me hanging. Let's go.
There we go. Let's all high five. So Tiffany has also had the pleasure of working with Lisa for some pretty intense times in her life as well. And we've recommended so many people to you. We're just like...
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, always. So let's kind of dive in a little bit to your story.
Okay, you betcha.
Who you are, how you came about, maybe you can go into what got you to this place, what got you to be interested in counseling.
Okay, well, it's probably a typical story for a lot of counselors.
Okay.
I think for me, my family was messed up. There was all kinds of abuse. It was not very good. And interestingly, one of my big issues that I went to counseling for initially when I was 22, that was my first counselor, was my weight issue. I was overweight, and I really wanted to get to the bottom of it. That was the only reason. And then, of course, deep dive into everything else, opened up my past, and, now I'm going to be 58, so there's a lot of healing that's been involved.
Wow.
But interestingly, before I even got into counseling, I was reading a lot of self-help books, a lot of them, and I was in my early 20s, like 21, 22. And people started to contact me to say, Lisa, you're so good to talk to. I want to talk to you. And then strangers phoned me and said, I heard you're really good to talk to. And I'm like 21.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm like, oh crap, I better go to school and learn how to do this. But I really enjoyed it. So that actually started me on the journey of, I started helping people. And, people would come to my house and say, we want to talk to you. Even couples.
Holy shit, Lisa.
In my 20s.
You can't deny that.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
So that was a long time ago, but I didn't know what I was doing. I had just read some self-help books, so I thought, damn it, I better get some education.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So now I have a master's degree, and I've been doing it for 28 years. And I do want to say, just in case anybody wants to know, that these girls have signed a confidentiality release so that we are good to do this, because I do have an association that I belong to, and I do follow their rules.
Yes,
I love it.
And I will say, you are so confident and trustworthy. It's beyond, and it's needed, especially in this line of work, because people have some pretty deep traumas that they're sharing, myself included. So that's very admirable. So thank you for clearing that.
And so my specialty is trauma, and it is some of the heaviest and most horrific stuff. But I absolutely love it. I love working with trauma because you go through the trauma, you unpack it, you dump it out, and then boom, you just radiate because you're who you are without that. And so once that falls away, the essence of you just radiates.
100%.
And it is so rewarding. So it's like the best.
Amazing.
But wait a minute, can we back up a second? Because you're not just a counselor.
Oh, no.
You work with a different type of, in a way with an energy that I've never seen before. And the confidence that you have with that, you see layers upon layers energetically with your clients. I mean, you did with me, and I'm going to assume you do with me what you do with everybody else.
We can talk about us, yeah. We have to just keep it to what...
But I can see that work, and I noticed, it was really interesting, and it aligned a lot with the work that I do, because I like working with energy, and you work with connection, and then, take it from there.
Okay, so especially being Beyond, I think that's the name, Beyond Counseling.
Yeah.
you are so beyond counseling. When people just come to see you with this, like what you went to, it's like, oh, there's some weight stuff. No, let's unpack it. So kind of go there with what Tiff said.
Okay, so that's a lot. There's actually a lot, but as a result of just unpacking my stuff and unpacking my stuff and unpacking my stuff, what's left when you're pretty clear is your intuition just goes off the charts. So when you're really clear, you just kind of can tell what somebody else needs or is going through, or what the next step is, or what the layers are. It's right there. And sometimes I'll feel a feeling and I'll say, "Are you sad?" And my clients will say, "Nope." I'm like, "Okay." And then a minute later they're crying because I'm actually in touch with them.
That's right.
And when you're clear, your intuition gets better and better. So there are a lot of times where I can just even find the belief that they're believing that's causing them to think that thought or hold on to that thing. And
yes,
it's really just being clear and tapping into your own intuition.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting, like what Tiffany always says, weeding through the weeds.
Yeah.
Getting to the deep, getting past all of that. The biggest thing with trauma, so maybe you can walk us through kind of what you do, like some of the tools that you can help with us, like some of the things you do with me, kind of going. Okay.
Yeah. So my favorite is the Sedona Method. The Sedona Method. So there's a book called The Sedona Method by Hale Dwoskin, and that book basically helps you to just let go of your stuff so that you don't have it. So emotions are binary. We either hold on and we have them, or we dump them and we don't. So it's like that kitchen garbage. We want to take it out and not have any garbage. So all the stuff that we're holding, we pack it in. If we hold or repress things, we just layer up and we're full of all these emotions that we've held on to sometimes for our entire lives. And so we open up little Pandora's box, we dump it out, and then we throw the box away, and it's gone. And we don't have it. And that, I think, is where the healing happens, when all the baggage is gone and there's nothing left except you being who you're supposed to be. And who you're supposed to be is not like a goal that you need to be, just yourself. We're here to self-actualize, just be ourselves, nothing else.
Yeah. Just
be you with your warts and your chubby arms and whatever else. Who cares?
I love how you said warts.
It doesn't matter. It's unconditional love. Like, we're here to unconditionally love ourselves.
That's right.
As we are.
Yeah, that's right.
With all our foibles.
100%. One of the kind of, analogies or examples that you had said to me from the very beginning, there's two that I want to touch on. So one of them is the tree. So maybe you can share the tree.
Oh, is it the acorn?
Do that one, and then we'll do the other one, because they're great analogies.
Okay, so imagine an acorn. So in this acorn has every little bit of information that's going to grow into a beautiful oak tree. And once that acorn is planted and it gets the things that it needs, it just grows and it becomes itself. It self-actualizes. It's an oak tree. So we're born into the world with everything we need already inside of us to be ourselves. But when we're growing, it's like, oh, Dad says don't do that, so we go. Mom says don't do that, so we twist that in. Boyfriend says don't be like that, and so we're this like gnarled, twisted tree. We're not who we're supposed to be. We're these other versions of who people think we should be, and we think we need to be what they want us to be. So we're like, we're this twisted tree versus self-actualizing, just being yourself, and everything is there for you to do it. You don't have to put anything in. When the other stuff goes, what's left is you.
That's right.
And unconditional love of self. That's what I'm all about. Be yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And the other one is the light bulb.
My favorite.
That is.
Okay, I've heard this one. Yes, you've done this.
Okay, so imagine a light bulb. And on that light bulb, there's dust. So eventually that light bulb is going to appear dim. And maybe if there's enough dust, it's going to appear even black where no light comes out. And when you take the dust off, when you clean it all up, that light bulb will shine just as brightly as it ever did, and we are like that. And the dust is our emotions. So when we take off the dust and we keep letting go, we are beautiful, brilliant ourselves, and shining as brightly as ever. We cannot be broken. We're still intact. Just get rid of the dust. We're still here as luminous as ever. And when the dust is off, we feel confident, strong, but not a strong bully kind of strong, and kind. We're kind to ourselves and we're kind to the world.
Yeah. And I love something that you've worked with me a lot on, is because I had a lot of codependency problems and a lot of low self-worth. And it was basically, I lost my train of thought there.
Sorry.
No?
Codependency.
Oh, you always had shared with me, it's like, it is okay and perfectly okay to just be direct, honest, and kind. And standing in your power, and of what does Kristen want? What does she need in this moment? And regardless of what's happening outside of me, and what other people think or had placed upon me, it's about me, getting back to who I am. Were you going to say something on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, grasshopper.
Yes.
The student becomes a teacher. That's amazing. What I was going to say was just exactly what you were saying, is listening to yourself. And I say, respect yourself first. Listen to yourself. You know, we're so busy, especially as women, giving and sharing and taking care and helping. And what about me? Oh, maybe I'll fit in like later when everybody else is done or finished or asleep.
How do we do that? Like,
we're culturally trained that way. You know, we're raised that way. So, and I think women are often very nurturing creatures anyway, so we like to help, but we forget ourselves. We're so busy worrying about what everybody else thinks or wants that we don't look after ourselves. And so if you respect yourself first, then you just tune into yourself. You just ask yourself, what do I want? And that's not very serious. You just, what do I want? But we just don't do it.
Right.
So asking yourself what you want, then you have the opportunity to check in, because we don't do that enough.
That's right.
And see, is this right for me too? Is this something that I want to do? And then if it isn't, because you're respecting yourself first, you're saying, do I want to do this? Okay, yes. And then you respectfully say yes. And if it's a no, then you listen to yourself and you respectfully say no. So respect me first, them second. It's still respectful, but it's honest. You're taking care of yourself and you're being honest with that other person.
Totally.
We aren't that honest, we women, a lot of the time, because we're like, would you like to do that? Oh, yeah. Except we're lying. We really wouldn't.
You're true. This is so true.
Yeah.
Crazy. Even about, maybe we can talk a little bit more about codependency. Like, where does that come from, and what is codependency? Most people that are in the relationships, whether it's from childhood and you were codependent with the mothers, or you had that, for example, like a mother and father relationship that were codependent on each other, then of course you grow up and thinking that's the way that a relationship should be. So maybe we can talk about...
most of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe we can talk a bit about codependency and what that is.
Okay, so codependency originated in conjunction with alcoholism. You know, the alcoholic was dependent on alcohol, and the codependent was dependent on the alcoholic. So the simple story: 1940s, 50s wife. The doctors and psychiatrists take the alcoholic out of the home and provide treatment. There weren't counselors back then. So he's away for like a month, and then he comes back into the home, and he's sober for a while, but inevitably he starts drinking again. And over time, what the doctors and psychiatrists realized was it wasn't just the alcoholic who had the addiction, it was also the wife.
Shit.
So, 19...
Tiffany's like, shit.
Shit.
Oh my god, I love that.
Okay.
Okay.
This is good.
1940s wife. Her job is to take care of the kids, take care of the house, take care of the home. Her job was to be a wife, a mother, and a woman. So that's her. That's who she's supposed to be. She's doing for others. That's kind of how she's raised. And if you think, I don't know if you've ever seen those old magazines that, like say like 1940s, like a woman's supposed to be.
Right.
Oh my God.
And even just like standing there with their, whether they have their apron on, their cookie sheet or their food plate, or like passing the beer to the husband, sitting down.
Yeah, yeah.
He's come home from dinner. I'm like visualizing my grandparents right now.
Well, there's
And
a
my
show
mom.
called Mad Men, and that was based in that era,
Yeah.
and that's what was happening.
Okay.
Like
You got it. You
right
got
on
it.
the show,
It's
yeah.
all exact. It's all that stuff.
yeah.
So imagine it's 4:00 in the afternoon on a Friday, and the husband hasn't come home from work yet, and the wife says, "Uh-oh, it's Friday afternoon. Is he going to come home from work? Or is he going to go to? Is he going to go to the bar?" So it's 4:30. It's 5:00. It's 5:30. She has dinner ready. It's on the table. It's 6:00. The kids are fed. She puts them. They're off, and of course they're clean and quiet now because she has to do that too. It's 6:30. Should she warm up the dinner? Should she put the dinner away? Is the dinner going to go flying across the table when he's home? Should she pour him a drink? Should she pour the alcohol down the sink? And so what has happened is that she's starting to escalate because she doesn't know who's going to come home, if he's going to be an absolute asshole, or he's going to be a happy drunk, or he's going to, what's going to happen. She has no idea. So she starts to manage. She's trying to keep everything calm. So, she'll make sure the kids are, taken care of, quiet, doing something. They're not going to bother dad. And of course, it's not just husbands and wives this way, but back then that's kind of where it started. It was more that. So, of course, equally among the sexes.
Totally.
So, so she's now starting to worry about what she can do to make things okay, right? What does he want? Like, what does he want? What does he need? What is he going to think? What's he going to feel? And how can I manage that by, maybe I shouldn't wear this dress. Maybe he'll get mad at me for this. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to clean up. I'm going to maybe have the food away. Maybe not, because that might make him mad. So what happens is, this is of course only just one example, and it's kind of extreme, but just for.
I think it's a pretty good painted picture.
It's really good.
Yeah. So over time, she is always wanting to manage his emotions by doing what she can do.
Okay.
It's actually her trying to manipulate him through changing herself, changing the kids, changing the food, pour him a drink, pour the drinks, like anything, yell at him, have a fight, be like, who knows, maybe she wants to suck up to him, and
That's right.
anything to keep the calm, keep the quiet,
Keep the peace.
because her job is to be a wife, a mother, a housekeeper, and so she is just coping. She's doing whatever she can to try and manage his emotions, aka manipulate and control, by doing whatever she can do, moving whichever chess pieces she can to have things be calm at home.
Wow.
So the alcoholic is dependent on alcohol, and she becomes so focused on him, that the connection that she has with herself gets disconnected. And all of her focus is on him, so she becomes addicted to him, addicted to the relationship. You hear relationship addiction, trying to get the guy to do this or do that, or don't do this or don't do that. And with her actions, she might ask, she might beg, she might yell, she might withdraw. Who knows what she's going to do? But we do whatever we can to try and manage. But the people who try to manage, what they need to do is connect with themselves.
Wow.
They've connected externally to manage that other person, and they've lost themselves. They've disconnected from themselves. They need to learn how to tune back in, connect with who they are, and be themselves again. And be a being of independence. Like, get their independence back. Stop being a secondary person to somebody else. Be a primary person. Make decisions. Stand up for yourself. Get your own back. Take good care of yourself. And it's not that you're going to turn into this crazy bitch either.
No.
You when you're clear, when that light bulb is clear, you are kind, but you're strong, and you're not a doormat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing.
Buddy.
Massive.
So powerful.
So good.
And this is why we do the work we do.
Yeah.
Is clearing, like getting in touch with yourself, do the self-love, do the self-care.
Yeah.
So you can get way more connected to your intuition.
Yeah.
When
What
I
your
say
wants
this,
and needs are.
what are they? And
Yeah.
then so it makes it
Yeah.
easier to see things clearly for when life presents itself. You can have a better idea and have a little bit more grounding substance before you make that decision, or whatever comes your way, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's just way more connectedness. So it's a beautiful, I love that what
That
you
whole
just said.
description, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean,
It paints a really nice picture.
wow.
It's big. I will touch on a little of my own story. So, leading up to what even got me to see Lisa was all of that times 100, because I was basically so shamed of even just myself, who I was, the relationship that I was in, even the upbringing. I was just very small, like very small. And I thought, like, people from the outside, they'd be like, you know, I've got my blonde hair and my makeup all done and everything is perfect from the outside, but from the in, I was dying. Like, just, it was just toxic chaos. So it pushed me to the point that I needed help. I needed that lifeline, literally. And it took, you know, when the worst thing happened, so like the worst thing for me at that time in my life that I was so afraid of was to be cheated on. That was it, you guys. Like, I was just terrified. And then when that moment actually happened, because that's all that I was so focused on in my life was fear of being cheated on, well, guess what happened? So that pushed me to the point where the ex-partner actually reached out to Lisa, which it doesn't even matter, but it brought me in. So this is the beautiful connection. Like, why I'm sharing this is what you think is the worst thing that's happening in your life, that carpet rip, is the best thing, because without that, I wouldn't have found Lisa. So the example of him reaching out then got me to the point where I was like, I need to reach out. I'm the one that's losing my mind. So the codependency part was that I was so distracted and focused on the partner. What are they doing? How are they going to go out and cheat? What can I do to change control or fix them? How can I do all these things? So it's like, then I started seeing Lisa and unraveling, but that was never the problem. The whole reason why I even was distracted and found a playboy type partner was because I didn't want to look at any of my own shit. So I found somebody that was so distracting that I was then focusing on them and how I could be prettier, how I could be skinnier, how I could change Kristen, because Kristen wasn't good enough because the person that I was with was so distracted and focusing on every other female but me. But that wasn't the problem. I was the problem. So it's like, I'm saying my shit so that we can uncover this for others, because I'm not saying you, but most of us are so focused on our partner and the blame of them, but really it's like, why did you pick that type of a partner?
Yeah. Well, and so there's just one thing that you said that I wanna focus on.
All
and
of
it's
it.
not that you said you were the problem. Yeah, you were never the problem.
Okay. Okay. So
But your relationship with yourself was the problem.
that's right.
But not that you were the problem.
Okay.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And
Yeah.
I wasn't the problem, but I was standing in my own way, and the
Yeah.
fear
Yeah.
was definite. So
Just to clarify.
that's great. And then when I came to see you, we started unraveling. And the importance of what I wanted to share this is because as Lisa and I were unraveling, there were things in there that I wasn't ready to look at and that were too traumatic for me. And I was like, oh, that's the reason why I chose this distraction. I'm going to stop seeing Lisa now. I'm going to go back to the distraction because that's too painful.
Yeah.
And so the pain part, what I would love for you to dive into is, let's go into like feelings, beliefs, and emotions. So all of that was in even little Kristen, like the 3-year-old, the 6-year-old, the 10-year-old, was too painful to go into. So then I was like, I'm going back to the relationship. Lisa clearly touched on the problem or whatever's holding me back, and I'm gonna continue on. Let's stay in that toxicity and the codependency because that's easier.
And so I want to say just about that.
Okay.
That's absolutely normal. It is so scary sometimes to open up that Pandora's box and look at the worms and the mold and whatever else is in there. Like it's shit in there, and
Mm.
it's really, really, really painful.
Wretched.
So like dipping your toe in and running away, most of us do that.
Okay.
But then we're like, okay, well, I do have to deal with that at some point. And then we grow the courage to do it. And so that's totally okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So for other people, that's totally okay. It's totally fine. You know, we all have a speed with which we do something, and we can work at things at our own pace and be unconditionally loving with ourselves along the way.
True.
So I'm going to talk about rapid pattern release.
Yes.
Ooh.
Okay. Oh, you don't know about this, Tiffany.
I don't know.
Okay, well now I'll tell you.
Yay.
So
Okay.
good.
All the tools.
So my favorite tool is the Sedona Method, which is where you let things go. And I went to workshops and did the coach training many years ago. I think went to my first workshop with Hale Dwoskin, the author of the book. I think it was 2008. And I was working really hard at letting stuff go, and the questions are, could you let that go? Would you let that go? And when? And I'm like, yes.
I do it
Yes.
all the time.
Now, right now.
And then I'm like, crap, it's still here.
Right.
Yeah.
And I see these other people, and they're dropping stuff, and they're feeling great, and I'm like, why can they do it and I can't? And same with my clients. If I would ask my clients those questions, some people are dropping it, and they're like, huh, that's gone, and it's gone, just like a coat. Gone. Drop
Yeah.
it off your shoulders, and it's gone. And other people are like, yes, I can let it go, and they're holding on so tight, right?
I love that.
They're like, sure, yeah, I can let it go. So clearly and it was me too. So I developed just over the years, 28 years of just learning things along the way. I developed a kind of a protocol to help identify what it is we're holding on and why we're holding on. So, because why would we want to hold on to stupid crap, painful, horrible, traumatic, painful emotions, baggage from the past? And all we want to do is let it go, yet we're doing this.
Bringing it closer.
Control thing. I should no,
No,
I'll let you
just
finish.
let her keep
Yeah.
No, you're right, Tiffany. It is a control thing. And I'll tell you why. So, we're going to use my water glasses as an example.
Yay.
Oh, I love this one. Okay.
Okay, so let's say something happened, some event. Maybe you were spanked really badly when you were a kid, and it scared the crap out of you, and you were quite traumatized by it. Okay, so let's say this is the body or the emotions, and so these are all the emotions, and we're scared. Maybe we're getting spanked, and we did something wrong, but we didn't know it was wrong, and we're so scared, and we just brace. We just brace, and we hold all those emotions inside of us, because at the moment that we're holding on to it, it feels so protective. And then maybe we're told not to cry, or maybe crying shamed, or maybe there's just a whole lot of reasons why we hold. And not a lot of parents are the type of parents who really know how to support people with their emotions. So maybe parents weren't okay with that. So, you know, when I got spanked as a kid, and it was years ago, but yeah, we just contracted, did what we could do to try and be good, not get in trouble, and maybe run away. And so, you know, we were left holding all these emotions. So you're holding on to these terrible emotions, and then you try to repress them because they feel so bad. So you're repressing them, and you're holding them, and it feels so terrible. But yet this bracing feels protective at the same time. So you're bracing, and then, you know, the next day happens, and then you wake up and it's a sunny day and you go out and play. Well, what happens to all this? What happens to all this emotion? Goes from in your face to in your subconscious mind, and it's just out of your awareness, but you still have it.
Holding it.
You're still holding it, and it's always in some place in your body where you feel contracted, and that's what all those holding on things are. It feels like it's protective.
It's like, where are you feeling that?
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what you said. No, you said control, but it's control.
Right.
I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel this.
And
but then
suppress it down, right?
you got it. Yeah, exactly. So you suppress it, and then time goes on. You grow up, and why do you have this pinch in your body? Why is that still there? And it could be, you know, that. that you've had for,
Well, it usually is.
20, 30, 40,
Let's
50
just say it is.
years.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Of
you
course
got it.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, this little technique that I developed called rapid pattern release is when you're triggered, and a trigger, it's like when somebody says something or does something, you get so emotional so quick. Angry, mad, sad, whatever, afraid, that's a trigger. And
Yes.
like making a mountain out of a molehill. This is what happened and this is how you're feeling, that's a trigger.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Of course.
Oh, frick, yeah.
We talk about triggers
All the time.
Okay.
We trigger a lot of people.
But no, it's good. I like I like you.
And
I like
everybody does.
yeah. I like you uncovering this. So keep going. I love it.
So when we have a trigger, I get my clients to, and I give them a sheet of emotions just as a reference, and they can write down all the emotions that they feel. And I want them to write down every single one. And if they don't have enough, I'm going to go, well, what about that emotion? Don't you feel that? And what about that? And they're like, oh yeah, I felt that one. And write them down. People write down 60 emotions sometimes. And when you write them down, you validate them. And so those emotions, like how it felt when you were spanked, like maybe your parent kind of went a little nuts and you really got spanked, like it was not good. Those emotions are still there. So writing them down, it's like, oh my God. And then you see them all written down, 60 emotions on a sheet. Holy crap. And then you're like, damn, that was really traumatic, because you see it now. And when I'm in my office, I write them down on a whiteboard, and my clients are like, holy shit, no wonder that was so awful for me. I'm like,
Yeah, and you're.
it's validated, right? You see it. And then this part, I think, is the most important part.
I just love this.
This is the most important part. So this part is, what did you think and feel at that time? So let's say somebody triggered you today, and you got really scared and whatever, and you went back to this memory. We did a sort of a float back, so you remembered when you felt that before. And then you wrote down all the emotions and when you were spanked. And then it's like, what did you think? What did you believe? What did you conclude at that time? And kids take everything personally. It's always their fault, even if they still think their parents screwed up. They always take it personally. So that's what kids do. Because so that's such a good question.
Yes.
Okay, so imagine that your parents are kind of sketchy, not real present. Maybe they're alcoholics. Maybe they're workaholics, maybe they're who knows what, maybe they came from an abusive home. And so you're growing up and you're scared because it's like, ooh, I don't want to trigger my parents.
Always walking on eggshells.
Exactly, walking on eggshells. So what you're going to do is you're going to try to just behave and listen to your parents, because they're right, and they might tell you not to be bad. And then when you screw up, they might tell you you are bad, and you go, damn, that was really bad, that thing I did, and I'm not going to do it again. I'm going to try to be good. They kind of tell you it's your fault, and we do it anyway. And so if a child says it's my fault, then the child says, I'm going to be good so I can fix it.
That's right.
I see.
So, and that's sometimes why they hang on too. It's like, I'm just going to fix this. I'm going to be good. I'm going to do what I'm told. I'm not going to fight with my brother. I'm not going to break whatever. And so we're like, yeah, I'm holding on to this, and I'm going to be so good, so I'm not going to get in trouble. We try to fix it. A lot of people are fixers.
Yeah.
So, getting back to the beliefs, I get people to write down all of their beliefs about what happened at that time. Beliefs. Mom doesn't love me. Dad doesn't love me. They don't care about me. My feelings don't matter. I don't matter. Maybe my sister hit me. I don't know. And she didn't get in trouble and I did. They love her. They don't love me. And I get them to write all this stuff down. The silly things that children believe, which are absolutely false, but in the moment they believe it, and guess what gets stuck? All the thoughts of when you're 6 and you got in trouble and your sister didn't, and nobody cares about me, I'm alone, nobody loves me, my feelings don't matter because I had to go to bed. I mean, maybe some of those things were true at the time. And so you write them all down. And you hold on to them because you just believe them in the moment, and they become your core beliefs. These innocent thoughts of a child who misinterpreted what the parents did as, I'm not cared about, I'm not loved, whatever your belief was. And we believe those. And as I do this, and I'm actually trademarking it, and I'm gonna
Yay.
It's a thing now.
It's a thing.
Rapid pattern release. It's a
Yes.
thing. I'm writing it down. I'm gonna write a book at some point.
It's
And-
already done. It's already
Yeah.
in the ethers, done. It's just making
Thanks
its
for
way.
that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's done.
That feels good.
Yeah.
It's done.
Okay, I'll also accept that.
Yeah.
And interestingly, I have an author as a client too. So she's like, Lisa, maybe we'll collaborate.
There you
I was
Yes.
not mentioning any names.
go. No.
But anyway.
And then send it my way too.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay. Let's
Um,
go.
Okay, so, all right, so we've written all the emotions down, and then we write all these beliefs down, and then people can look at that and say, oh my gosh, I recognize all those freaking beliefs.
Yeah.
Every single one, we still have them. A thought when we're 7, a thought when we're 8, you know, and they're here. I'm not good enough. Nobody loves me. Whatever we thought, they'll be in us. It's crazy. So let's continue.
Does it ever go away?
Yes, of course. You actually yeah, we'll get there.
Okay.
Keep going.
Absolutely, it goes away because they were never true.
Okay.
But I think part of the healing is recognizing, like, if you can kind of trace back where it came from and realize that you were like an innocent 6-year-old who thinks stuff like this, and then you realize that, you know what, those were just thoughts of when I was 6.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not good enough. Well, okay, you're 6. You're freaking good enough.
No shit.
Or 4. You're even a toddler. Like, nobody loves me, I'm unlovable because I'm 3. Excuse me? Children at 3 are perfect. Children at 6 are perfect.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
They're just
Perfect.
kids. Kids, like, I'm not good enough. Like, how many kids think they're good enough? None.
Yeah.
Because
Their
they interpret the parent's behavior
Yes.
as I'm not good enough. So when it's all written down, you can start to see the root of where this stuff comes from, and you can realize it's all bullshit.
It's all bullshit.
It's all bullshit. How a parent treats you is interpreted by the child as, I'm not this enough, I'm too much this. And, you know, I grew up with, I'm too loud, too big, too, I don't know, whatever. I was too much, too
Oh, there
whatever.
goes
Whatever.
the 2 2s. There you go. Drop
Yeah.
it. Spiritual. Love it. Love that.
Oh, that's funny. So, okay. So
we've
then
seen
you've
the
got the
beliefs.
beliefs. Okay. And then, so back to my little water glass here. I'm glad I have this here. I'm holding onto this. And it gets stuck in time. It gets frozen in time. And let's say I'm 40. And I have this belief that I have to be good. I have to be good. And if I'm good, then I'll get the love that I want. Because if I'm good at 6 or 5 or whatever, then my parents will see that I'm good, and then I won't get in trouble, and then I'll feel like they love me, and I'll feel safe.
Mm.
And that's the secret agenda for self-care. If I hold on to this, I'll feel loved and safe. And so why would I let go of something that's going to subconsciously make me feel loved and safe?
Yeah.
So that pattern of doing good or being good so that we get acknowledgement, so that we don't get in trouble, so our parents were happy with us, that hope, that pattern that is going to somehow, then parents are going to love me and care for me and be there for me. And then here's the other thing. If it comes true, then I'm loved and I'm safe. Of course, it doesn't come true because it's always been a lie, but it doesn't come true. But because it doesn't come true and we try so hard as a kid to be so good, we think we're failures.
That's right.
Dun dun dun.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought I was a failure my whole life.
Wow.
Yep. Well, not my whole life.
No.
I don't think I'm a failure now. But boy, did I think I was a failure. And I thought, oh, it's just because I've had this weight problem forever. And then when I took it back to, I failed to change my mother. I was trying to be good enough, so that she would see that I'm worthwhile protecting, and then she would protect me from my dad. And I was a failure because she did not protect me.
Shit.
I figure. She couldn't. She wasn't capable.
couldn't.
No, she wasn't capable. But that was the core of the failure. And so I thought I was a failure for so long because Mom didn't protect me from Dad. Of course, it was impossible, but my 8-year-old self didn't know that.
That's right.
It's like, if I'm good enough, Mom is going to rescue
Mom will
me.
protect you and save you.
Yeah. So why would you let go? Because you've got this secret agenda for self-care. This is going to work. This is going to work. And then it gets repeated in relationships.
The cycle.
Yep.
The
Same
circle
cycle.
jerk.
Yep. So, and then once you kind of see it all written down and you can go all the way to, okay, well, now I know my secret agenda was to be rescued and then I'd be loved and safe, right? So when you see it all written down, then you can see it's from the mind of a child. And that you're holding on to this huge list of all these really negative, painful emotions and really toxic, horrific beliefs. And you're still holding on to them at 40 or 20 or whatever. But when you see it all written down, you can go, ha ha ha.
No kidding.
And then it's like, oh, none of it's true, none of it's relevant, and then you can just let go because you see through it. It's all fake. It's all a lie. It's all a sham. It's built on a house of cards, but we don't know that. It's our subconscious is hanging on. But once you see through it, the whole thing drops.
Yeah.
And Lisa, isn't
And
it?
it's magic.
Yes, and wouldn't you say like our subconscious doesn't know what's real or fake?
Absolutely.
It just is in that moment, and then it just makes something up, but then it holds so desperately.
It holds because it thinks it's gonna,
Save
get
and
something.
protect you
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
safety.
yeah.
So then we just continue on that pattern of
You
like,
got
oh,
it.
and then this is another reason I feel like why we stay in codependency or with relationships that are not serving us or are very toxic is because we believe that we can save them, or we believe that or we're in denial of that whole story because we're like, well, I know what to do, I can just do all these things.
Yeah.
And then also another side of this is, looking at your mom and your dad or your brother, your sister, or your partner as exactly who they are. And it's like, this is another good topic if you want to touch on, that really helped me. So you're like, you cannot change, control, or fix anybody else.
No.
The only person that you can focus on is yourself and change
you
is
can heal
yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we want to touch now on this kind of
Yeah.
beautiful topic because it's my favorite. It unraveled a lot for me.
I have this kind of joke too that women see these red flags, and men too, and the red flags are waving, and then we do this little brain fart something, and it's like we hold those red flags up to the window, and the light shines on them, and it's like, oh, they look pink. I like pink. Pink is good. I can do pink. It's like we pretend something that is a red flag is not.
It's pink.
It's pink. I think pink is okay. And so we have this weird denial piece that it's like, this is how somebody presents, but you just look at it this way, and then we can delude ourselves into pretending that they actually aren't that way.
Or they'll get better maybe, or
Right.
maybe they'll fix themselves.
All those things.
All not true.
You have to actually believe them. You have to believe them. When they say, this is who I am, and this is what I am, and this is what I do, and this is how I am, you have to believe them. We think, and not just women, of course, but we think that, back to the codependent woman, if I do this, then, maybe he'll be a happy drunk, or if I do this, then maybe he'll be whatever, or maybe he's not drinking. Yeah, sure. We think that we have control, and we wish that we did, because we don't want to have the chaos. We don't want to have our hearts broken. We don't want to have whatever. But, gosh, I've had clients who've been in physically and emotionally abusive relationships for years. And one, it's like, but I was good. I was good. I was beautiful. He didn't change. Yeah, right, because he was a psychopath, and this person actually was that I'm thinking about. But but he still didn't change, and she was in her 50s.
Oh.
And so it's like,
she was holding on to the belief that he would. Right?
She was holding on. Yeah. Well, see, and back to the if I'm good as a child, then I'll get the love that I need. And she put that onto her relationship. She was with him very young.
And if he loves me and I'm good enough, he will change. So it's always externally on somebody else instead of being like, I am good enough, I am amazing, and I don't need anybody to change. I'm just the one that needs to go within, love myself, And then when, like you say, you're seeing clearly, you can actually see the person as they're showing up. And it's not even
Yes.
what they say to you, it's the actions, right?
Mm-hmm.
How they're, who they are,
Mhm,
who are they showing you that they
Mhm,
are every day?
Yes.
That's
And-
the big one.
Yeah, and you know, when we're really emotional, it's hard to see because we're looking through this wall of emotion, and it's like, oh, you know, there's this thing that happened, and oh, well, you know, and it's going to be okay, and we just we hide behind these emotions, and we just get small, and we think it's okay, and it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it takes a lot of courage to tell the truth. It takes a lot of courage to say, that's just how that person is.
Yeah.
And they've been that way for however many years, 50 years, 40 years, 30 years, and you know, this idea that women think they're going to change their men, it's just the biggest pile, of shit. It's just, and
I
hope,
swear.
I tell everybody about hope.
Yeah.
Hope, the dog shit in a pretty package
Yes.
with a bow.
Perfect.
A big piece of dog crap in a box with a bow. Because hope is the delusion or the illusion or the wish or the hope or the magical thinking that somebody's going to be different. I have hope, and hope is such a good thing. People say, oh, hope's so good. I don't think so.
No.
No, I
That's
think
what
tell the freaking truth.
Yeah. I
The
think
truth.
that of the word potential also.
That's hope. That's
same
dog
thing.
The
crap. in a box.
potential.
Yeah.
That word, but they have potential.
Yeah.
Who are they right
yeah,
here
maybe
today?
in like 6 more hundred, lives.
Lifetimes.
Right.
Yeah.
In future lives.
Yeah.
And it is hard work for somebody to grow up. And if they aren't interested, you need to believe them.
No shit.
You need to believe them. There are so many people. Well, if he went to counseling, well, does he want to go to counseling? No. Okay, then.
There's
There's your
truth.
answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they don't wanna
and
do it
a lot of
themselves.
people, no, they're not interested. They're just, they don't think they have a problem. They like themselves the way they are. And I say, listen to them. Believe them. They're telling you who they are. And so you have to tell yourself the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
This
that was the
is
hardest.
what's showing up.
That was the hardest one for me.
Yeah.
It was really difficult. And then it was like as you
Yeah.
start peeling back the layers,
Mhm.
and you've always said this. You said about the change, control, or fix, and
Mhm.
you also said about so you'd say to me like, okay, so if you can't accept them for who they are today in this moment, then you have a choice. Always. And it's
Mhm.
like, Kristen, you can either stay
Mhm.
and accept them exactly as they are, or you can continue with your own patterns of delusionment, of just, being in denial, whatever,
Mhm.
not seeing the truth,
Mhm.
or you take a path and you
Yeah.
go into the unknown, go on your own.
Yeah.
Choose what's right for you, because
Yeah.
it's a choice.
It's always a choice. And so, when we love our partners, and usually women who are in relationships with people, no matter how challenging, they love them.
That's right.
And so leaving is really, really hard. And telling the truth is really, really hard. But you don't have to do it all at once.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just work on your own mental health. You can work on your own well-being so that you feel good and strong. And then when there's a version of you that feels good and strong and takes care of herself and she's healthy and she tells herself the truth, that future you who's healed and who's strong might make a new choice for herself because that relationship might not be in alignment anymore. But it's okay to take time because things do take time. And if you're not sure,
Mhm.
you can hang out until you're clear, and things take time.
Mhm.
You always have choice. Like I would never rip somebody out of their relationship. I mean, I might suggest that if it's really violent, like in that
Right.
case, I'll be
Yes.
like, okay, for somebody. But
someone's safety is different.
yeah, but if it's just, like we're a little off and there's this thing, and I mean, some things you can work on, but other things, if you're having an affair and he says he's never going to leave and you're like, he's going to leave, and it's like, I think you need to just believe him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we like our fantasy.
That's it.
We like our wish. We like our happy ever after, the knight in shining armor and everything's going to be good and we're going to be happy and all that crap. And we like that because it's like, oh yes, and now I'm going to be happy and whatever, I've got this wonderful man, etc. And this is what sometimes I challenge people to do, like if they actually do tell the truth. And the reality and the fantasy are so different.
Yeah.
and like the potential, that's the fantasy, because potential is just another word for denial.
For the dog shit hope stuff.
Dog shit in a box with a pretty wrapping paper. It's really stinky too. So
oh my god, you're so awesome.
So where was I?
Dog poop in the
No,
bag.
before that.
I knew about the dog poop.
My shirt's coming up.
The hope, the potential.
Oh yeah.
that someone
When
change.
it's like when you actually start to tell the truth about your relationship, you realize that what you're giving up is just a fantasy.
Yes.
And it was never real anyway.
It never was.
It never was.
Oh my god, Lisa, like this is so powerful because I'm telling you, after I started doing through all this stuff, and it has taken a long time. But finally, once I got to it, I was like, oh my god, this person was never this person that I thought or created in my mind.
Yeah.
I desperately wanted them to be that.
Yes.
And I had so many times where it was like, this isn't matching up, but the denial was so strong, I held on to it. I was like, yes, this is truth. And then it was like, finally.
I remember.
Yeah, remember when I had that breakthrough?
I remember, yes.
I was like,
I remember it.
I was like, oh my gosh. Even like every belief that I had about the person, I'm like, oh, well, they have this, or oh, there's this. And then all of them were like, no, none of them were true. The person was never that.
Nope.
And it was just the fucking fantasy that I held on to.
Yeah.
And this, and that also is devastating, guys, because it's part of like, this just
it's
bomb.
hard.
Because you're like,
yeah.
you've never been that person.
Yeah.
It's like that was
hard thinking that you know someone a certain way and then they're just not. Like
They've
everything
never
that you
been.
knew was a fucking lie.
Yes.
That's devastating. Like that is hard.
It's really hard, and especially if you're dealing with somebody who has like a mental illness. Like, I mean, I mentioned a psychopath, but more commonly people are narcissists or they have narcissistic tendencies. And if you're in a relationship with somebody like that, then that person will make you at fault so much, and it's like you did this thing, and they did this thing, and that was not good, but somehow it's all focused on what you did, and you're like this woman who's perhaps, or man, who's a little bit self-aware and says, that's true, I did do that thing, and I know that I could do better there, and then suddenly it's all about you can do better here, but what they did doesn't even exist. It's off the table. It's all you're not good enough.
They're so good at being able to
Absolutely.
teach you how to focus off of them. That master manipulation.
That gaslighting stuff.
Yeah. So can you give some examples, kind of like in a relationship, as to what that kind of looks like of manipulation, or like what are some signs or red flags that people could look out
Good
for?
question.
If you feel guilty, or afraid, or if you feel pity, those are often sort of things that you need to look at.
Pity.
Guilty, afraid, or pity, because those are things that manipulators will use to push your buttons to get you to do what they want you to do.
And so that can even be through guilt.
Oh, guilt, absolutely.
And what's some examples of that?
Okay. Oh gosh.
Kristen,
I want to.
This is so good. I love watching her. Like, tell me more.
Because
This
people.
is so good.
There's so many people that are.
For example, I don't. Okay, so I'm going to make up something. I have a million stories, but I don't want to
Just
have anybody
you can
be
use
anything.
You can use
So a person.
Use me. I'm great. I've been through everything.
She signed a waiver. Like
I'm
I know, but
I'm good.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So somebody will cry and say, "I miss you so much," and I've done a lot of thinking, and you're absolutely right. I do have these poor qualities, and I'm really going to work on it, and maybe we could just go out. And then they try and like reel you in. That's one example. Even though perhaps they were physically or emotionally abusive, and suddenly they're like, and it's like they're sad. It's because they're the victim. So if I'm the victim, poor me, then I might feel guilty. Maybe it's a parent. I mean, parents can have all kinds of issues too, who continually borrows money from their kid. I'm just having a hard time. I just was hoping that you could pay for this thing. Mom might have a drinking problem, and the kid ends up, giving mom lots of money, and what's she going to do with it? Or worse, and maybe there's drugs too, but Or like in relationship, it might be, oh, you're going out with your friends again? Oh, I thought we were going to do something.
Oh, good one.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, didn't you just see that person this other time?
Oof.
Well, I guess I'll just stay home by myself.
Ew.
Oh. This is good, Lisa. I just want to be like, Lisa, it's your birthday. I love this.
Good.
This is so good. It's so good.
Guilt, right? And fear.
Yes.
Or you just might get a little dart of like disapproval, or just a little anger. It might not even be a word. It might even just be like and you can feel it. And it's like, ooh, I better not do that.
Another one that is a good one is withdrawing. They will withdraw.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a punishment.
That is a punishment.
It's like,
I
so
see.
maybe you go out with your friend or whatever and you come home, nothing.
And they're cold.
Yeah, and they're cold. That would be the punishment, and then it's like you feel like, and then you might feel sorry for them because they're so mad or they're so hurt, or, well, I just heated up some dinner, some leftovers, and I watched a stupid show and I went to bed because I had nobody to talk to.
Another good example that just popped into my mind is, let's say you are going to go out. Let's say the mom's going to go out, and then she's gone and made sure there's dinner in the oven, that everybody's going to be cared for, and like all the things that she could have pre-done in order for her to go out to get that approval, instead of being like, peace, I'm out, have fun, see you later. And then it's like
maybe he's a parent too and he can also do these things.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or like, walking on those eggshells. I know this happens so much even with other friends and different things like that, where their man may be working or their man's doing something else, and their responsibility is always on them. So it's just they continually not to choose themselves first.
Yeah,
it's
and
really hard.
it's really challenging, especially if there's kids involved.
Yeah.
For sure. And I mean, everybody's situation is different. And I mean, and if that's what you have to do to get out, maybe that's what you need to do in that situation.
But over and over and over again.
Then, and if some people are willing to do it, and if that's what their choice is, then that's their choice, and maybe that's who they want to be, and then that's okay. But if it's not okay, and they're continually giving themselves away, it's probably going to break at some point, and something is going to go wrong in the relationship, because that's you can't sustain that forever. It's unsustainable. And that's often what women, just not just women, but that's often what happens is we give and we give and we give and we give, and then something just goes tweak, and I can't do this anymore. Yeah. We're so empty, we're exhausted, we're burnt out, and that resentment's just piled up, and suddenly we're like, I'm making any fucking dinner.
Yeah. Exactly. I love that.
Fuck that noise.
Yeah. Yeah. And what advice do you have for others that are at that point of, it's like they have a choice, continue in the cycle or break free? What's your best advice?
I think it's really hard to do stuff on your own. If you can collect a team to support you, a team, girlfriends, counselors, friends, your family, if your family's supportive. Some families can be or might
Sometimes
not be.
They cannot. They can also be a problem to be like, oh, just stay. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to go out on your own?
If they're supportive,
Yeah.
And get a team. Like a lot of people, especially if they're in a relationship that maybe is a little isolating, they feel alone. They don't have support. So get support. And is it like, I mean, there's so many different sort of phases to go through. I always hope that people will just start to take themselves, their mental health, their well-being, their own self, their body, their physical body, their emotional body. Take care of yourself. Make time for yourself. So whatever you can do to make yourself to feed, and just like that, respect yourself first. Go for nice walks. Be with friends. Be in nature. Have a spiritual path. Connect with a counselor if you have stuff that you need to work through. And every counselor is very different, by the way. Every counselor has their own styles.
And I will just stop you for 1 second. People that are watching, like, you don't just go and find a counselor. You do your research.
Yeah.
Find through somebody else. This is another good example. Find somebody that you would like to be, maybe not like, but you like the path that they're on, and you'd say, how would I feel if, you know, that was kind of my life? How would that look? And then ask them what they're doing. Because whatever they're doing that you like is probably going to work. Whereas if it's somebody that you're getting advice from that is in the toxic relationship still and isn't doing any of their self-care, and you wouldn't trade your life with theirs, probably don't ask them who they're getting help from, because they haven't been able to do what they need to do for themselves or get themselves out. So be mindful. And obviously we highly recommend you're next level, like out of this world. You're beyond a counselor. And yeah, so I wanted to stop you just to say that part, because don't just go and find one. Do your research, and that's what we share.
There's a big influx of people. Oh, counseling doesn't work for me. I tried that.
That's right.
And it always comes back around because there wasn't a connection and or enough of a mirror to, or whatever. There just wasn't enough connection. It just wasn't in alignment.
Yeah.
So people will often give up, and it's really
Don't
sad.
stop.
Yeah, it's sad because it's like, just because you tried once or twice, that's such a small percentage of trying.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, and not only, like, there are so many different styles of counseling, like different tools and techniques that counselors will use, but also so many different personalities. You know, like, I'm direct. I'm really direct. And that doesn't work for everybody. I'm not a real hand holder.
No.
I'm like, let's let it go. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
And
That's how I train people. Pick it up. Let's go.
Let's go. Breathe through it.
And that works for people, like, I will work for people who are more motivated to actually just take action.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm not good with people necessarily who really want a gentle, soft hand-holding, you know, a slower ride. But I recommend people that I have connections with other counselors who are much better than me. And so there's always...
In that area.
Yes, in that area.
Okay.
Yeah, good job.
But every counselor has strengths and weaknesses, and you know, like, if somebody comes to me with drugs or alcohol, I'm going to refer them. I was never trained for that. So
Right.
And that's not what you wanted to do.
No,
You don't,
it's not my
that's not your
interest.
thing.
No,
Your trauma.
give me trauma.
Fucking trauma.
But that's where a lot of the alcohol abuse comes from, is from the trauma.
Yeah, and if they've handled that, then they can see somebody
Yeah.
like me. That's, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm talking about me, and I've just done this for a very long time, so I know how I work and I know what to do with a lot of things. But other people have other training and experience and et cetera in different areas, and they're really good at that.
Yes.
And so find somebody, if you can, that that you feel like you have a connection with, like you can trust this person and they really get you, they listen. And even just that can make such a difference. Just somebody who gets you and listens and understands. And if they have a bunch of tools,
Yeah, you have a lot of tools.
well, yeah.
And this is the cool.
This is so refreshing.
It is. I
honestly,
agree.
I just fucking love you.
Yeah.
I just want to eat you up. I just like.
You're adorable.
Literally, so I will say, 10 years that I've been seeing you, there's things that come up, and it's like, we can handle this, the traumas of the, you know, those deep rooted things, and then sometimes there's new things that come up.
Yeah.
And what I love about Lisa is she utilizes all these different types of tools. So it's not like, I don't just go to Lisa and I'm like, hey, this is what's happening, and I just, you know, don't really know. We're getting to work. We get to work. We're here to heal. Yeah. Some people come and see Lisa, and they'll see her 5 times. They deal with the shit. They're happy with just that little issue, and then that's it. They're on their way, and they're happy, and they're content. Yep. I'm like, let's go. My freaking goal is just internal peace. Yep. Just be at peace and love myself, and that is where I'm going to continue to do and to go.
And I talk about the tissue box, like, so we're all a tissue box, and we pull one tissue, and then another one pops up. We pull another one, and it pops up another one. And so we can pull a bunch, and then it's like, oh, we feel so good, and then things are really calm and really happy. and it might last a little while. For some people, it lasts a minute, like you. So lasts 30 seconds for me, and then another tissue and another tissue. And there are people who are really highly motivated to let go of everything, and you are that.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody's like that, but I'm like that. So just tissue pause until you're just empty, because you get to experience just being who you are, and that's what we're here to do. Be who you are, fully embodied, just yourself.
Embodied.
Self actualization, be you. And when we don't have those tissues, we are that, and it just feels better and 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 freer and happier and lighter and clearer, and you fall in love with yourself, and you fall in love with the world.
Wow, so
You show up
said.
differently, the world shows up differently.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Can we talk a little bit about when you think you've peeled the onion back in a certain area? Because quite often this topics come up quite a bit, even for myself. Like, for instance, like, I swear I dealt with my mommy issues. I swore I did, and then they came up again.
So yeah, I still deal with my mommy issues.
Okay.
So that's perfectly normal.
Okay.
And also, so you deal with kind of what's on the surface, and then you go deeper, like that onion goes deeper and deeper, or those tissues, and you get to the core stuff. You either are empty and you have nothing, and she can't trigger you, and she's whatever, and you're at complete peace, or something else pops up. And it just often does.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be exactly the same thing. Like if you had let that tissue go and it was gone, that piece is gone.
Yeah.
But it might be something else.
Okay.
It might be a different angle, or it might be you believe this over here, but this time you believe this. It could have been a different trauma. You know, we have our parents for a lot of years.
This is it. And the most pivotal times of our life.
And we believe all the things that are told to us or projected onto us, or we just, I'm unlovable because my mom didn't have time for me while she just went to work, but I'm unlovable because of that. Like and so, maybe she went to work, and then maybe she had another kid, and then, who knows? What were we going to believe when the next kid showed up? So maybe you healed, went to work, but maybe you didn't heal when the kid showed up and suddenly mom abandoned you because she was nursing a baby and she had no time for you. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
So there's always, there's the tissue box, and mine went to the moon, and it's almost empty now, but it's not quite, still not empty, and I still have mommy issues, and it's not many of them. I mean, it's hard work, think about what monks do. They sit in caves and they work on their stuff forever, and but maybe if they went back to their family, they'd find they had a lot more stuff.
Yeah, there you go.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No, that's interesting, because just sometimes it comes back up, and people are like, what the hell? I thought I dealt with this.
That happened.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think that happens all the time. And I used to say back when I was, way younger, because I started this when I was 22, I would go to counseling, and then I'd be like, I'm done now. And then something else would come up, and then I'd be like, go to counseling, and I'd say, I'm done now. And then by the time I was like 36, I gave that up because I was just not done.
Yeah.
And now I'm 58, almost, and I'm still not done. So it takes a long time. But it's like when you feel better, and then you feel even better, and then you feel even better, and then you feel even better, and you feel even better, and you feel even better. Why stop?
Yay! Don't stop.
Well, I'm not going to.
And here we go, is we keep going and we peeling back layers, and then whether other people believe it or not, we talk about this all the time, but it's like past life shit. Sometimes there's stuff that's so buried within you that you don't even have a memory from, but you feel it in your soul.
Yeah,
and
you can let that stuff go too, by the way.
You can.
Yep. I still recommend
This is why
the
Lisa's
Sedona Method.
Beyond Counseling. We go beyond. It's not just counseling. It's beyond.
I had to I went through this really interesting time. Nothing happened, and I talked about this on the podcast before, but I would go driving for a period of time, like long distance, and I was so used to doing this on my own, but all of a sudden I developed this fear of driving.
Interesting.
I was like white knuckling it. I was like, oh, I'm one away, just like a fucking like off the side of the road.
Huh.
And it was terrifying to me. And even driving by trucks, I've never been like that ever. Like I've driven to Seattle, Spokane, by myself just to visit my family.
Huh.
And then all of a sudden, So, what do you think?
Yeah, I know. Lisa's got
Yes.
her tick-ticks.
Yeah, so could be a host of different things. One, that driving somehow could be a trigger because so one of the thoughts that I had about that, about driving, is that perhaps you drove into somebody else's thinking. Perhaps those thoughts weren't even yours. And
I didn't feel
then
like
they
they were.
showed up because that could have been somebody else's thoughts that you just picked up on because
I didn't think of that.
when you're really intuitive, you can and
I was thinking like past life shit. I was like,
it's probably somebody else was scared, and you heard it in your head, and it felt like it was
Something.
you, and you thought it was you, but
and I could imagine it, and I could feel it as if it was me.
Except
it was
might
like,
not have been.
I felt like I would have had to have been crazy to have do something like that. Like,
yeah,
Yeah,
and in fact, so what you're saying is actually really common.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, I had a client who said to me, he was like, I was just driving and I really thought that I could turn off the road, and he says, and then that same road, and this is what I thought, and I just said, oh, those aren't your thoughts. Those are somebody else's. So probably somebody there was actually feeling that way, and there were like thought forms or thought bubbles at the same time that were still there.
Interesting.
And then I just said, those aren't your thoughts. And he's like, I know, they really aren't. I never thought like that before, and I don't want to kill myself. But he heard them.
Yeah.
And I've even had thoughts like that where I'm just like, oh, it'd just be really easy to drive off the cliff.
Right.
And then I just went, oh, I wonder whose thought was that, and I just kept driving and never thought of it again.
So I had to use a lot of the tools that you taught me in our sessions. Like, can you just let that go?
The Sedona Method.
Yeah. And it was, it actually, when I came to the point of like possibly past life thing or whatever, it was the same concept. Like, these are not mine. Can I let this go? Well, fuck yeah. I don't want to fucking white knuckle it anymore. Like, I'm sweating balls for hours. It's like painful. And when I've shared this with people are like, whoa, really? And I'm like, what's wrong with me? I don't know. Like,
nothing.
I don't know what happened. Yeah.
Now, having said all of that too, Tiffany, there is also a possibility that could be been a trigger. So somehow feeling scared some other time in your life, you got triggered for that. So
okay.
I mean, I remember when there was a lot of violence in my upbringing, and I was often scared. I wasn't scared when I was driving, but if somebody else was driving, I was scared. And it was actually a trigger for just sort of being scared, feeling out of control, and somebody else could make this situation. So there's legitimate triggers for trauma.
Okay.
And there's also other stuff which doesn't have any foundation in your life at all. It's like suddenly that, I'm like, driving along, I could just drive off this cliff. But I didn't give it a second thought.
Right.
And you don't have to.
Give it any power.
Nope.
I did feel like it got worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
why am I thinking this?
Yeah.
Do I think this way? No.
Yes.
Just drop it.
What? Like,
this is a really great actual kind of segue into what can happen with people, and what has happened a lot in my life is that thought. So maybe we can go into that. So how the subconscious, and then it's avoiding us feeling. So we should talk about that. How the thoughts go like this because we're avoiding what's here, and when you teach people to go in there.
Okay.
We didn't touch on this yet.
So is it kind of like sort of figuring something out kind of thoughts? Because that's usually when we do that.
Figuring out, or
because that's kind of what you were doing. Like, where did this thought come from?
And then I would just think all the thoughts that had anything to do with driving off the side of the road or running myself into a fucking truck. Like,
right? Like, it seems so absurd.
I'm like, I have so much to live for. Well, I don't want to fucking die doing that. Like, my God.
They weren't your thoughts. They weren't your thoughts. And I think it's so okay to just recognize. But do you want to say something, Kristen?
I do, because I'm trying to think of what other people can resonate with. So like, if we use it, for example, of like maybe relationship wise, or like thinking that your partner's cheating, that's a really good one, because you're thinking about it instead of feeling what you need to feel about it. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that thought. People get stuck up here. They're just here, and that whole process that you take people through.
The obsessive behavior.
Well, so, I mean, that's got a lot of layers, that one. Okay. But
whatever you feel is a good one to go on to explain, then you do you.
Okay. So, I'm just trying to think of, it's really simple to let's say, for example, I have a friend who's very focused on what's happening in the world that's not good.
Okay.
And she is online and she's reading everything and she's reading and reading and reading and she's attending events and she's very opinionated and very right about what should and shouldn't happen in the world, and she knows, and she'll tell everybody her opinion and it'll be right, and so she's so focused on this is wrong and this is what should happen and she's just very focused on that, to the point where it's compulsive, just this sort of fixing, thinking. When if she tuned into her body, she might find that there's a whole lot of unresolved trauma, that instead of actually getting present and finding out what she's actually feeling, it's being distracted. Like you instead of going in here and finding out, like, what do I feel, and maybe I feel scared and threatened and upset and angry and out of control, instead I'm looking online and finding all these things to focus my attention on that in fact probably make me feel worse in a way, but in some way maybe it just distracts me from actually what's going on inside of me. And when we talk about the tissue box, we go inside. That's where the feelings are.
That's right.
We are a container, and we pull that out, and then we might have this tightness in the body, and then when it's gone, it's relaxed. And then somehow the appeal of all the things that I used to spend so much time researching, it's not there anymore. But if we stay distracted by looking, fixing, doing, and not actually being present and checking back in with me, that never goes. And in fact, what's in here, because if you look at bad news all the time, you might actually end up feeling worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
You become that vibration, you become that fear.
You do.
You're lowering yourself.
And you're becoming that's right, you're becoming more connected with the thing that you don't want. And it's not necessarily...
It's so true. It's like putting it in the ether, and the ether making it truth. We talk about that, like, with the universe. Like, what are you asking for?
Yeah.
And it's like,
we
can focus on the things that we don't want, and we're saying what we don't want, and then that's what's showing up at your door.
Yeah. And if you go inside and you let go of all the stuff that you're really avoiding by focusing on whatever out here, fixing something, changing it out there, and you ignore this doesn't go anywhere, might get worse.
Okay, question. For those who are totally unaware of this, is there anything that we could say that could bring the awareness to step into the next process of, like, just sitting there? Is this a trigger for me? Am I being distracted?
Well, it certainly asks those questions.
Yeah.
Like, just asking, becoming self-aware, and those questions are great. Is this a trigger for me? Okay, so this is what happened. This is what happened, and this is what I'm feeling. It's a trigger. So, okay, well, when did I feel this way before?
That's the question to ask.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It's not the first time you're feeling this way.
Right.
And it goes, and you can trace it right back. And, the healing is in the feeling. We just feel our feelings and they melt away.
It's true.
But we're doing this. I feel this. It feels bad. I must be feeling my feelings are going to go away. No, this is feeling your feelings.
Yeah.
Just absolutely being with them without resistance.
Accepting them.
Yeah. You don't need to do anything with them.
Yeah.
You don't have to try to understand, control, change.
Just feel. And I've talked about this before. I will say there are moments when I've been there and the feelings coming up and I'm like, it's painful. It's like death. And people, that's what they're running away from at times because that's so big. I remember being in hairdressing and I would actually excuse myself. And when I started working with Lisa big time, I was like, okay, this is an opportunity. Something's come up for me to feel. I would run into the bathroom. I'd sit there. I'd surrender. And I'd be like, okay, what would Lisa say? Feel. And then as it became bigger and bigger and bigger, it eventually just, boom, it was gone. And I was like, that's what she's talking about. And it's hard to explain until you actually experience it. And then
Yeah.
challenge yourself. People are like, but I can't. What do you mean? And I talk about this with my clients. I use this all the time. And I'm like, sit there and surrender. Like, bring it on. Just let it. And like, you'll go to the extent where you'll say, bring a shape to it.
Yeah.
What does it look like? Is it sticky? Is it a square? Is it a
Right.
circle? What color is it? Where is it located in your body?
How dense is it? Is it heavy like a rock? Or is it, like clouds? Yeah. Yeah, and that gets you from inside to outside when you start to actually sort of give it a shape. When you're inside, I call it being inside the washing machine.
Thank you. I was just going to say.
That's your analogy. Perfect.
Yeah, because I love this analogy. And actually, I said that about the cup and something else, and you did not say what I thought you were going to say.
Okay, so say the washing machine thing.
Yeah.
So when you're like in your stuff and you're just feeling it, you're in it. It's like you're in the washing machine and you're just getting banged around with all the water and all the clothes. So get out of the damn washing machine. Just be the witness, be the observer. You can still feel, but don't get in there. It's really hard to let things go when you're inside. So if you can relax your muscles, relax your body on the inside, and the emotions will still be there. But when you're out of the washing machine, that's the place to do the Sedona Method. Could you let that go? Would you let that go? And when? And if all you did was just stay out of the washing machine and just tell your body to relax and just be with that, it's kind of meditative. And it will just go. Because the emotions want to go, but we hold on to them. We hold. And because we think this is going to protect us or help us or whatever. Mommy's going to
I was
love
going
me.
to say there's something at stake.
Yeah.
Right?
We think.
Yeah.
And that, hey, holding on to this, is going to somehow stop the situation. Which is, can a contraction in my body stop a situation out there? No. So if you can just tell your body to let that go, just tell your body to open, just tell the muscles in your stomach to open, just relax them, stay out of the washing machine, stand in front of the washing machine, you can still feel. And if that's all you ever did, they would fade away.
It's so true.
It's so true.
I love that.
Another thing I will touch on, because it happened to me, I used to think that if I felt the fucking thought, or the feeling, that I would become that thought.
Like, what do you mean?
I just thought it would stay there forever. So that's why people drink. That's why they smoke. That's why
we
they have
don't
sex
cross
addicts.
our eyes because they might stay that way.
Exactly. So something that scared people, they're in meditation, they're alone, they're in their thought, they're feeling the anxiety, and I always teach everybody, it's like, lean into it. Yeah. Lean into it, because that's where you get free. So but you think, oh my God, the moment I stop and feel it, I'm going to become it. But you are for a second, and then you're free.
Yeah, it spikes up, and usually, and then it comes down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely worth it.
It's worth it.
The avoidance of the pain causes that pain that you're trying to avoid to last 20, 30, 40 years. Let's just experience it, face it head on. Beep. Oh, wait, it's gone.
And then how about that? And then how about freeing ourselves from any dis-ease? Or any sort of other things that will happen in the body, or like a bigger catastrophic event is happening because you're not dealing with your shit. How about that?
Yeah, well, holding on to all that stuff in your body, and I love that book, Messages from the Body.
You do love that book.
Michael Lincoln, I think his name is. But anyway, it talks about all the psychological things that go wrong in your body, or the physical things that go wrong in your body, and the psychological meanings behind them.
That's right.
And so if you can let stuff go, then, hopefully your body will just repair. I'm not an authority on that, but boy, it sure works.
That seems to be the thing. That seems to be the idea. Because, when we talk about energy work and like Reiki and stuff, moving the energy, the stuck energy that's causing us pain, illness, sickness. We've had such profound experiences, not only ourselves, but even our clients. And just the feelings.
Yeah.
Let it come in and let it go the way it came in. And then, boom, that's it.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's like, holy shit.
Yeah. So is there anything else that we should touch on, or any messages from you, Lisa, that you think would be, not to put you on the spot, but that you want to share for anybody, what they might be going through?
Well, I think we've covered a lot today.
We covered a lot.
Really did.
But I think one of the most important things that I think is true for everyone is that you're enough, just the way you are. that's it. Like you're not supposed to be more than you are. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but being yourself is actually, that's it. That's the point. Just being yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Aw,
That's
thank
all we
you
need
so
to do.
much.
No, I love that.
Yeah, we're all perfectly imperfect, exactly as we are.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Lisa, for being on the show. We'll have you back on very soon.
Thank you
Talk
for
about all the
having
things.
me.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Thank you everybody for listening.
Yes, and we'll put all the information. We'll pop in the book, in the notes. We'll pop in Lisa's information. I know she has a wait list, but it's worth it to get on the wait list. And when any spots open up, then maybe if you're serious about your path and your journey and healing your triggers, you can reach out to Lisa and get on the path.
And also I work with other counselors as well who have the same techniques as I do. And
Awesome.
so if I'm unavailable, there's other people that can help who have more room than I do.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's great.
That's
Referral's
beautiful.
great.
Amazing. Thank you again, and everybody have a beautiful day. Bye.